Guys, SuiteCX360.com launched 15 years ago. It's a consulting plus SaaS play. The pure SaaS revenue a year ago was about $780,000, on track to do 1.8 this year. And one of our other podcast guests heard Valerie on the show, had mutual connections, and actually bought Valerie's company for a $3 million headline number. She's now happily working at Question Pro, building that team, learned a ton, and again, hoping to grow this year. She did it all bootstrapped, which we love. Hey folks, my guest today is a familiar face, Miss Valerie Peck. She's the founder of SuiteCX360.com. It's customer experience design and diagnostics. You may remember her. She came on the show a while ago, and she's got some news to share. Valerie, are you ready to take us to the top?
Absolutely.
All right,
So
what
the
happened
exciting
since
news,
when we last spoke?
yeah, we've been acquired. So it's really interesting. We're one of the unicorns that actually in this interesting time and age has gotten acquired. We'd been talking to a number of people, and one of the things that was really important to us was fit, right? So there's different ways of growing your business. One of them is getting investment and more people and a little wind beneath your wings. And so in talking to Vivek, who was introduced to us by a mutual friend, Mark Mendel, and he'll come to play in a moment as well, we started finding all sorts of common opportunities. We plug a hole for Question Pro because they didn't have a tool to pull a lot of their different products and tools together. And they fill a lot of little holes for us because they have the tools that we normally use on the consulting side of the business.
Mm-hmm.
So the way the deal went down
Well, Valerie, and
was
hold on,
that,
before, let's leave it as an
okay,
open look so the audience can listen in. But guys,
as you wish.
for context, guys, on Valerie, again, she came on the show back in April of 2022 and shared that they were doing about $65,000 a month in MRR, so about $708,000 per year. They were serving 30 customers, and their model was about a $10,000 setup fee. People were then paying a $26,000 ACV. Their largest customer was paying $100,000 per year. The smallest was $5K per year. And in 2021, they had a nice blend of consulting services, professional services, and pure SaaS, growing nicely. She's bootstrapped. They're growing 10 to 20% year over year. So she retained her optionality to do whatever she wanted. She had no board. She had no crazy evaluation she had to sell for. So Valerie, on that note, first off, correct me if any of that was wrong. But on that note,
Well,
what
we did
happened?
have a board, but they
Okay.
are very flexible and have been with me because three of them were my partners or the founders of Peppers and Rogers. So they all were all for what we were doing in the loop of all of this. And in fact, Don Peppers is a good friend of Vivek's. So one of the interesting things when you do networking and acquisitions, a lot of times the who you know as well as the what you know becomes important. So when people try to triangulate around whether a deal is good or not, right, it often comes down to the people as well as the numbers you so quickly put it out.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really interesting. So after it was a good probably 4 months of up and back with a couple of little halts in the middle, we came to an agreement, and we sold the intellectual property of the consulting firm to SuiteCX, and then the team at Question Pro purchased SuiteCX. So that was back in October of 2022. And we've had a little ramp up since then. So we've gotten a little bit of a grace period to start understanding how we're going to integrate our business as well as integrating the products and solutions. Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, we got a whale of a client, one that had been our client for a couple of years, doubled again what they had been doing from a functional perspective with us. And I think our contract was $550,000. So that was a nice welcome present for Vivek and his team. And since then, we've been apace doing pretty much the same thing as we have been doing. And now we're just on kind of the precipice of really starting to take an integrated approach. Mm-hmm. So our editorial calendar, our webinars, all of our marketing tools and tactics and things like that have all been percolating a little bit as we've been running as a fully separated subsidiary. But now we're starting to fold things in. Right. So that's going to be really interesting. We're going to
Valerie,
see
what do you think
inside of later?
Inside of Question Pro, what do you think just the SuiteCX business line will do in revenue this year?
We're expected to do between 1.8 and 2 million.
Okay. And are you on
So
track to do that?
rather than the 20% increases, we're looking for a 50% increase.
That's great. And then take
And
us into the
we
details,
are
deals like this.
75% there now.
Oh, what's going on there, YouTube? Good to see you guys. Now imagine this. You love watching these interviews with SaaS founders, but imagine if we took all of the valuation data out from over 2,807 interviews I've done manually. Saves you a lot of time. Well, we've done this. We've built it into the beautiful interface inside of FounderPath. Check this out. I'll show you how you can access this in a second, but you log in, you connect your Stripe account, you see your valuation real time, you can see what it changed over the past 88 days, and even set goals for valuation this year. Now, the secret to valuation is there's many different ways to value a SaaS business. So the reason you're going to see 3 or 4 different valuations inside of your FounderPath dashboard, this is all free by the way, is because depending on who's doing the buying of your SaaS company, you're going to get a different valuation. A VC is going to pay a different valuation. Private equity firm is different. If you're going to do a minority sale, that's different. And if you sell the whole business, that's a different valuation. You can see all those when I hover over here. Right, so the teal is what a VC would pay, yellow is what private equity, and red is if you sold the whole thing outright. Now, what's cool about this is not built off random data. Again, you guys hear these interviews on YouTube. All these data are built from real-time valuation data points founders share with us on the show. So traction, 1.2 million, seed round, 3.7 raise, they sold 22% of their business. Go in here and filter by the event. Maybe you only want to see companies that have sold the whole business. Well, here are a bunch that have been acquired, the valuation and the multiple. Maybe you're going out right now and you're raising your seed round. Well, go in here and look at all this recent seed deals that went down, what they raised, what valuation they raised at, and what percent that they sold. There's never been a larger data set of SaaS valuations than what you can get now inside of FounderPath, and we're thrilled to bring it to you. All right, we're going to go back to the YouTube video here in a second, but if you want to check this tool out, if you want to jump in and sign up, you can check it out for free to get your valuation at this link, founderpath.com/products/valuations. Or if you go to founderpath.com and hover over products, click on get your valuation here, and go ahead and sign up to give it a whirl. Again, all that valuation data live right inside the platform. I hope to see you there. All right, let's jump back into the interview.
Deals like this die 1,000 deaths before they close. Take us into the war path. Tell me all the times this deal almost died. Why did it almost die? What were the terms?
Well, there were 2 really critical pieces. Critical piece number 1 was really getting to an agreement on the fit. Again, that was really important to us. How would we be working with the different departments? And, the kind of the bottom line was, I can go to anyone and get surveys now. How am I going to deal with getting just a Question Pro survey tool? Are we going to be able to be open for our existing clients because they all have different tools, including Question Pro, or are we going to be closed, right? So it was important to me to stay open, but then when appropriate, cross-sell the Question Pro tools, because that was really an important thing from an integration perspective. And then the second piece was a very interesting one that I think a lot of startups have. We are a qualified SB 1202 company, which in short terms means that we incorporated under the terms that if we stayed in business for 5 years, and then we sold under this particular incorporation phase, we had no capital gains for any of the shareholders. Now, that's really sweet for the person who is selling the company. Unfortunately, buyers are set up so that they want to do an asset purchase. And an asset purchase then results in a 50% capital gains cost for the sellers. So, interestingly enough, our tax code is not designed to be particularly conducive to M&A. So, it ended up being kind of a decision whether or not the buyer, Vivek, was going to gross up what we got so we would be made whole from a perspective of him being able to write off the assets, or the alternate way of him buying stock, not being able to write off as much, but letting us end up in a better position from a capital gains perspective. So that went up and back. And that probably was the most difficult for everyone to deal with, because it was a lot of effort on either side to be able to mitigate that. So fortunately, I have a really good M&A attorney and tax guy, and he came up with some really good solutions that helped mitigate that. So we got over that speed bump.
Like what?
Well, one or two of the things is how you allocate your resources and R&D fees. So how much you can write off from an R&D development perspective. And then what we actually did, interestingly enough, is a couple of my shareholders said that they would waive their shares so that we could then pump those up a little bit. And the two founders who did most of the work, my CTO and myself, we get a little bit of a bump, so that allows us to have a little bit of a lower selling price, so that we then all came out as a win-win.
Mm-hmm. So what was the
So your key
headline?
there is get a great tax person and a great accountant when you're doing this.
Yeah. So what was the headline acquisition sort of deal price? Not cash, not earn out, like just the headline deal number.
Yeah, it was well, if you were looking at 3 years, it would be about probably 2 million.
And why do you
Because
say
there were
3 years?
Well, because we did an installment sale. Another thing that's very typical in an I'm opening my total umbrella here. An installment sale allows you to, well, allows the buyer to make sure that they're buying something that's going to keep going and keep making money. And the seller has some satisfaction of being involved in that over time. So think of it as a house, right? You have a down payment, and then based on your terms and conditions, you have subsequent payments to not only the team that is staying on, but the shareholders that are probably going to be bought out.
I see. So $3 million headline price, looking at all the potential earnings over the next 3 years. How much of
Yep.
that was cash up front?
I'm not at liberty to say based on our agreement, but it would be, if you were doing a 3-year agreement, one could assume that it was be close to something like that.
Like 1/3. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why, let's again, we're talking about hypotheticals now because you can't confirm or deny this, but the company's already doing about $1 million a year in revenue, right? If you sell for a 3 million headline price, and let's just say hypothetically only $1 million of that is up front, and why not just keep running it yourself? You're already doing $1 million a year.
Very interesting. That again, that was a significant decision point of what we should do, whether we run that or not, right? And there were a number of good reasons for it. The first good reason was the opportunity for me to grow back into my consulting roots and to do more of what I loved and less of what I really frankly didn't like, which was software sales. So that's where Mark Mandel comes in. He was part of this introduction and deal. He loves doing software. I hate it. Right now, I get to be free and have a global consulting practice as a capstone, frankly, to my career. And the software side gets well taken care of by Mark and his sales team. So that was a big consideration from a lifestyle perspective.
So Mark has been retained by Question Pro now. He's an employee of Question
He is
Pro.
now VP of Sales for North America.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah, for CX. Yeah. So, and again, so that was very helpful. A couple of the other people in the team wanted to step out and do less. So that gave me the opportunity to let them do that and to bring some new people in. And probably, I don't know. I mean, I've done a lot of work when I was at KPMG and PwC and Money Tree and all those elements, as you probably well know, is that money in the hand is worth a lot. So in order for me to make that headline, I would have had to triple in size personally. And in order to do that, I would have to then go back to my 401ks and rob them again of almost that much money to be able to make the money back again.
Mm-hmm.
So having an investment like that over the period of time that you're saying is far more, the cash flow is far better when you're doing an alignment and a sale like this as compared to trying to make it yourself bootstrapping.
When you talked about the qualified SB 1202 company, I think what that is, you're talking about QSBS, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So guys, just quick breakdown this because then I want to ask about the 3 million deal price. QSBS, if you're a common stock owner and you've held your stock for more than 5 years and you sell, you can shelter usually up to about $10 million, assuming you're not setting up a bunch of trusts or something like that. So it's
Correct.
$10 million. So
with lots of red lines of what kind of company it is as well.
yeah.
So
Valerie,
they've tightened those rules quite a bit.
Theoretically, though, like if you sold for $3 million, I'm making this up now at this point, and you personally made $1 million in cash from the deal, theoretically, you shouldn't have to pay any taxes on that, correct?
Correct. Now, part of that overall deal, though, is salaries and benefits and perks and spiffs.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at that total deal, it is not just a cash price deal. It's a mix, which is another thing that was, again, for where we are in if I was 28, I might want a different deal.
Yep. So help me understand.
Right?
I guess where I'm not following the rest of this
sense?
is with a 50% cap gains cost for Vivek and the buyer. I guess I'm not understanding how that correlates with the QSBS shelter.
Okay, so if I had to pay taxes, so say it's $100,000, right? He's going to give me $100,000 that's sheltered, right? Or he's going to give me $150,000 that's taxed.
But why would you choose to not shelter the money you make on this? You have QSBS.
Well, because he wanted an asset deal because he can write 100% of the cost of the company down immediately in year one.
So you can't use QSBS if it's not a full sale. If it's an asset sale, you can't.
Correct. If it's not a sale of stock's the thing. So this is the friction point that the tax code has set up that buyers and sellers have to navigate, because it makes it so that it is either a benefit to one or the other, which are almost opposite, right? So if you buy stock, the buyer can't write off those assets. If they buy assets, the seller has to pay tax on the stock. I see. Sale.
You can't use QSBS coverage there.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. So that makes it. And again, there's probably, I don't know what the subset of those types of companies are, but in the Valley and where I grew up in the Bay Area, that was something that, 15 years ago when we started Suite CX, that was a real feather in a cap of somebody who was trying to optimize their career of having this particular thing. So that's where our attorney came in and said, let's grab this opportunity because it is a big one.
Mm-hmm. Well, Valerie, congratulations on your capstone. What an exciting moment for you. And I can't wait to see what you and Vivek do. Today, though, we're out of time. Let's wrap up with the famous five. Number one, what's your favorite book?
Right now, actually, it is Peppers and Rogers, Managing Customer Experience, edition number 4.
Yep, you're very consistent. That was also last year.
But what did he say? Well, it's all dog-eared now, and I give it to everybody.
That's awesome.
There's a few others that are good as well.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Interestingly enough, I'm following what's going on with First Republic right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the CEO and team there, I think, are navigating a really difficult situation quite well from a customer experience perspective.
Yeah, money is certainly a confidence game, and we're seeing that. Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building Suite CX?
For building Suite CX? Actually, I'm having quite some fun with ChatGPT.
There you go. Number 4.
I just did a poem for Suite CX.
That's awesome. How many hours of sleep are you getting every night?
I am now back to 6 hours of sleep again. It's awesome.
That's great. And I think last time you said not married, 6 kids. Is that still accurate?
Happily not married for 17 years now with my significant other, who is our CTO. Yeah,
you are married.
Nope. We're happily unmarried for 17 years.
Oh, amazing. Okay, but six kiddos.
Yeah.
And did you celebrate a birthday since we last spoke? You said you were 67 last time.
Yep. Well, 68. Yeah.
Well, happy late birthday. Last question.
Still on the right side of the turf.
That's right. Well, you've got the energy of a 20-year-old, so I can't wait to see what you do next. Last question, Valerie. Something you wish you knew when you were 20.
I wish I knew how difficult it was to actually start up and run a business beyond knowing the thing that you know. all the things that went around it, so I could have gotten smart sooner.
Guys, SuiteCX360.com launched 15 years ago. It's a consulting plus SaaS play. The pure SaaS revenue a year ago was about $780,000, on track to do 1.8 this year. And one of our other podcast guests heard Valerie on the show, had mutual connections, and actually bought Valerie's company, call for a $3 million headline number. She's now happily working at Question Pro, building that team. Learned a ton, and again, hoping to grow this year. She did it all bootstrapped, which we love. Valerie, thank you for taking us to the top.
My pleasure. You have a great one. Don't do anything I would do.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company, or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them, and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.